Iran just claimed something that no government wants to confirm and no intelligence agency wants to discuss openly. It said it hit the bunker, not a radar installation, not a fuel depot, not a missile production site, the underground command center buried beneath HaKirya in Tel Aviv, the facility where Israel's war decisions are made in real time, the place where Benjamin Netanyahu goes when the sirens sound and the missiles start flying. Israel has not confirmed the strike. The area around HaKirya was immediately closed. Cameras were blocked. Official statements said nothing specific. And that silence, in a conflict where both sides have been loudly announcing every successful strike within minutes, is the most important data point of all. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what Iran claims it hit, what is actually buried beneath HaKirya, why the Khorramshahr-4 missile was chosen for this specific target, and what it means for this war if Iran's claim is even partially true. Because if a single ballistic missile penetrated the airspace above Israel's most protected military address and detonated within range of its underground command infrastructure, this conflict just entered a phase that nobody in Washington or Jerusalem has publicly prepared the public for. Here is what we know. Iran's IRGC announced the strike as part of its ongoing Operation True Promise 4 campaign. The target named was the HaKirya military complex in central Tel Aviv. This is not a generic military base. HaKirya is the Israeli equivalent of the Pentagon. It houses the Israel Defense Forces General Staff Headquarters. It contains the primary coordination center for active military operations, and beneath its surface, buried deep enough to survive conventional airstrikes, sits the infrastructure that keeps Israel's command structure functioning when everything above ground is under attack. Israeli authorities confirmed sirens in Tel Aviv. They confirmed interceptions. They did not confirm what was intercepted, what got through, or what the specific target was. The IDF spokesperson's statement covered the broader missile volley. It did not address HaKirya directly. The area around the complex was closed to press within hours. That closure is standard protocol when sensitive infrastructure is involved. It is also standard protocol when something that should not have happened just happened. Both cannot be distinguished from the outside, which is exactly why the silence is the story. Now we need to talk about what is actually buried beneath HaKirya. Because most people have no idea what Israel built down there, and understanding the target is the only way to understand why Iran chose it. The above-ground HaKirya complex is well documented. Tower buildings, administrative facilities, the visible architecture of a military bureaucracy. That is not what Iran was aiming at. Beneath the surface sits a layered system of hardened facilities that Israel has never officially described in full. What is known comes from years of Israeli defense reporting, foreign intelligence assessments, and the occasional detail that surfaces through budget disclosures and construction permits. The first layer is Site 81, an electromagnetic pulse-hardened intelligence processing center designed to continue functioning during the kind of electronic warfare environment that comes with a full-scale regional conflict. Its shielding is engineered to survive the electromagnetic consequences of a nearby high-altitude detonation. Its depth is sufficient to protect the hardware inside from conventional munitions that do not carry dedicated bunker-penetrating warheads. It is where signals intelligence is processed and where real-time battlefield data flows during active operations. Below that, according to multiple defense analysts who have tracked Israeli military infrastructure for decades, sits a facility known in some circles as the Fortress of Zion. A command bunker designed for wartime use by senior military leadership and government officials. Hundreds of military personnel operate from it during active conflict. It is built to sustain operations, even if every above-ground military facility in central Tel Aviv is destroyed. It is where Israel's war is run from when Israel is at war, and Israel has been at war since February 28th. That means the Fortress of Zion is not an emergency backup. It is the active command center right now, the people making targeting decisions, coordinating with American forces, managing the air defense network, and directing the ground operations along Lebanon's border are working from underground. This was not a symbolic target. Iran was aiming at the operational brain of the Israeli military during the most intense conflict Israel has fought in decades. Now look at the weapon Iran chose, because the Khorramshahr-4, also known as the K-bar, is not the same class of missile as the K-bar Shekan. It is something considerably more serious, and the decision to use it against this specific target was not made in the chaos of an ongoing war. It was made deliberately by people who had been studying HaKirya's vulnerability profile for years. Iran's military planners did not wake up on the 10th day of this conflict and decide to aim at Tel Aviv's command infrastructure on impulse. The targeting package for a facility like HaKirya requires precise coordinates, an understanding of the underground layout, knowledge of surface access points, and an assessment of which warhead type creates the most damaging impact profile against hardened subterranean construction. That kind of targeting intelligence is not assembled overnight. It is built over years of satellite observation, signals collection, and human intelligence gathering inside Israel. The fact that Iran selected the Khorramshahr 4 specifically, rather than any of the other systems in its current inventory, tells you that this strike was the product of a long-prepared plan waiting for the right moment to execute. The Khorramshahr 4 is a medium-range ballistic missile with an officially stated range of approximately 2,000 kilometers. That envelope covers every significant target in Israel from launch positions, deep inside Iranian territory, far from the forward areas that have been subjected to sustained American and Israeli bombardment since February 28th. Launch platforms positioned in Iran's interior can fire without exposing themselves to the strike packages that have been hunting mobile launchers across the country's western regions. The warhead is where this missile separates itself from other systems in Iran's inventory. It carries approximately 1,500 kilograms of payload. That is nearly 3 times the warhead mass of the Khaybar-Shekan. But raw explosive weight is not the primary reason this missile was selected for a target like HaKirya. The Khorramshahr 4 can deliver cluster munitions, a warhead that disperses submunitions across a wide impact area rather than concentrating its energy at a single point. Against an underground facility, a direct penetrating hit through reinforced concrete requires a different kind of warhead entirely. But a cluster munition detonating above or around the entrance infrastructure, ventilation systems, power supply nodes, and surface access points of an underground complex creates a different kind of problem. It does not need to break through the bunker ceiling. It needs to destroy everything the bunker depends on at the surface level, cut the power feeds, destroy the ventilation intakes, collapse the access tunnels, seal the facility from the outside while the people inside are still in it. That is the architecture of this threat. And it is why the choice of the Khorramshahr 4 for a target like HaKirya is not accidental. It is a specific engineering decision matched to a specific vulnerability profile. Iran has now fired more than 500 ballistic and cruise missiles and nearly 2,000 drones since the war began 10 days ago, 40% directed at Israeli targets, 60% aimed at American assets across the region. The IRGC has been explicit about its targeting logic. It considers the United States the primary enemy in this conflict and has structured its strike packages accordingly. American positions in Qatar, the UAE, Bahrain, Iraq, and at sea have all been targeted. 7 American service members are confirmed dead. But the HaKirya claim, if accurate, represents something qualitatively different from everything that came before it. Every previous Iranian strike in this conflict, regardless of what it hit, targeted infrastructure, fuel depots, radar installations, port facilities, air bases, military logistics. These are systems. They can be repaired, rerouted, rebuilt. Damage to them degrades operational capacity, but does not decapitate the command structure. A successful strike on the underground command center beneath HaKirya would not damage a system. It would target the people running the war. Israel launched its own bunker strike within this same operational window. Approximately 50 Israeli aircraft participated in an attack on an underground facility in Iran used by senior leadership during the conflict. Reports indicate approximately 100 munitions were deployed against that target. The parallel is unmistakable. Both sides, within days of each other, attempted to reach beneath the ground and strike the people making decisions rather than the infrastructure those decisions control. This is the escalation that changes the character of a conflict. When both sides are trying to kill each other's command structure, not just degrade each other's military capacity, the logic of the war shifts. Strikes become decapitation attempts. Every senior official on both sides becomes a potential target. The calculation around negotiation changes because the people who would negotiate are themselves under threat. Hezbollah entered the conflict on March 2nd, firing from southern Lebanon into northern Israel. Iraqi militia groups operating under the Islamic Resistance in Iraq umbrella have claimed more than 20 separate drone strikes on American assets in the Erbil area alone. The United States Navy has sunk Iranian warships in the Arabian Gulf. A U.S. submarine destroyed an Iranian frigate in the Indian Ocean, the first American submarine combat kill since 1945. The conflict that began on February 28th as a joint American and Israeli air campaign against Iranian nuclear and military infrastructure has expanded into something that now involves at least 6 distinct military actors operating across 4 countries and 2 oceans. And at the center of it, beneath the streets of Tel Aviv, sits a hardened bunker full of people running a war that neither side has defined an end condition for. Iran says it hit that bunker. Israel has not said it didn't. The cameras around HaKirya were blocked within hours of the strike claim. That decision was made by someone, and the question of who made it and why they made it that fast is the question that matters more than any official statement either government releases in the next 48 hours. Because in this conflict, the gap between what governments say and what missiles actually hit has never been wider. And somewhere beneath the streets of Tel Aviv, in a facility that officially does not exist, the people directing this war are still working, for now. Share this with everyone trying to understand what is actually happening. Iran has claimed a direct strike on Israel's underground wartime command center beneath HaKirya in Tel Aviv, Israel has not confirmed or denied the specific target. The area was closed to press immediately. The Khorram Shar 4 missile used carries 1,500 kilograms of payload and cluster munition capability. Iran has fired over 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 drones since February 28th. Israel struck an Iranian leadership bunker with 50 aircraft and 100 munitions in the same operational window. Hezbollah is firing from Lebanon. Iraqi militias are hitting American positions. 7 U.S. service members are dead. And neither government has told you what an acceptable end to any of this looks like. That is not a war with an exit strategy. That is a war that is still deciding how far it is willing to go.